So I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I just kind of wanted to chime in on the MAHA news. I'm so proud of the President Trump and Secretary Kennedy for getting the dyes done, but there's such a much bigger um, agenda with MAHA. And I just wanted to say it strikes me that the media is being silent on this. And I think as we approach September and the announcement on the cause of autism, they may find themselves in a very uncomfortable moment, the way they did when Joe Biden's cognitive decline was revealed. This is a topic that they have not discussed. A lot of it's been kind of hidden almost, it feels like. And I just think it's maybe a good time to start easing into some of these topics instead of pretending like it's not going to happen. Maybe it'll go away if we ignore it.
Thank you, Diane. Sean.
So, Diana, I'm going to cue you into a little project that I've been working on because I thought the same thing. Why isn't it getting the media coverage, right? And I started this little personal project probably about 6 weeks ago. And I'll show you Exhibit A. This is the playbook proudly brought to you by the Brit Jack Blanchard. Do you know who it's presented by?
Who?
Pharma. You want to see Notice? This is the new Robert Albritton thing, presented by Pharma. Go look at Axios. Most of their newsletters, guess who they're presented by, sponsored by, paid for by? Pharma. Big Food, Pharma. They buy all these things, and then guess what stories fall by the wayside? Stories that affect Big Pharma, Big Food. These guys, whether it's Axios, Notice, Politico, they are bought and paid for. And these guys recognize at the editorial and ownership level, we're not going to kill the golden goose, right? These guys are buying and paying for the silence of the media, of folks at Politico, Axios, Notice, you name it. And that's just the reality.
I will say there are three kinds of newsrooms. There are newsrooms where the interference by the advertisers via the management never occurs. There's ones where it occurs systematically, and there are ones where it sometimes occurs. And I don't think you can assume that the lack of coverage of those topics is directly attributable to who their sponsors are. It could be true, but I don't think you can just assume that it's true.
No, but I do think that there's a pattern here. Over and over again, you see a lack of coverage over issues that affect consumers, whether it's because of Big Pharma or Big Food. And then you look at who their advertisers are.
But there can be other reasons. For instance,
sure,
they don't care about these issues because they're not gossipy.
But the funny thing is, Mark, once in a while, I put the shoe on the other foot. If you look at a member of Congress and look at their contributions and say, wow, look at the way they voted, but look who's funding him. The assumption of journalists is to immediately run to, well, that's who's paying for them. But when the shoe's on the other foot, they go, oh, we would never be influenced by Big Pharma and Big Food. There's no way that we happen to not see that logo on our masthead every single day over and over again and wonder where our salaries get paid for.
I agree with you about the double standard. And just to be clear, I think that question should be asked regularly.
Right.
But all I'm saying is there are plenty of newsrooms that have a pretty firm wall, a very firm wall. And there are plenty of journalists who say, I don't care who my sponsors are. I'm going to write the stories I'm going to write. And their editors don't stop them.
And then, but you look at someone like Cheryl Atkinson that's talked about what CBS News did to squash her stories. You had Mark Caputo on the other day. Mark and some of his former colleagues at Politico have talked about what their editors did to squash certain stories. But
that's ideological bias, which definitely does exist. That's different than the sponsors calling.
But the point is that we know that they do interfere. The question,
not always.
Not always, but I will speak from experience when I ran government relations. Sean has a point. It is made known to you, and I'm not going to say by which organizations, but it's plural, that those who have long-term sponsorship relationships have a certain access. Sean, you're not wrong. There is a pay to play. I'll speak in English here for a second.
Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes and more, always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing.